if not, as before, I invite you to interact into the chat and also join the Discord channel and properly talking on how is the situation of indigenous people actually now. Let's move to the first speech of the track, and we give the floor to Moran Sol Broza. Moran Sol Broza is a social entrepreneur and climate activity, especially on the topics of indigenous people. And so I welcome to the floor Moran. Moran, are you there? Okay,
hello.
Hello.
Can
hi.
you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
So just one moment that I let you share the screen, because we have like a witness about properly the situation of indigenous people, and it's like an event that is happening few days ago. Is interest also, we are based in Italy, interested in the city of Milan, but was happening something very incredible that also Moran was protagonist of. So Moran, I will let you the floor. So thank you very much for joining the Climate Social Forum, and the floor is to you.
The honor is all mine, and I'm gonna ask you to make this account and one more co-host. But first, this one, I'd like to say hello to my friends and colleagues and allies, previous speakers, Dr. Paula and Eric and Domenico, for organizing this again, and everyone else who it's taken for this to arrive. It's been a long year, and yeah, it was a great segue to talk about the indigenous. I have some materials on one device and some materials on another. And this one is the one I'm going to show you the speech that you're referring to that came from Milano just a few weeks ago. There we go. Can you hear and see?
Okay.
Yes, perfectly.
I'm from Brazilian peoples, indigenous people Terena. Buongiorno. Bom dia a todos que estão me acompanhando no Brasil e nas comunidades.
Welcome and thank you to everyone who is accompanying me here from Brazil and other communities.
Em primeiro lugar, estamos vivendo uma extinção imediata do nosso planeta, com nossos territórios sendo ameaçados todos os dias.
First of all, we are in the beginning of our own extinction. Every day, our territories suffer.
E eu quero aqui pedir a todos os jovens do mundo que tenham olhos para os indígenas e para a nossa Amazônia.
I am calling on all youth of the planet to put your eyes on the indigenous peoples of Brazil and Amazonia.
Nossos territórios estão ameaçados e existem projetos de lei onde o governo quer acabar com as áreas de proteção no país.
We are at a moment in time where the legislation, there are projects to remove the protection of our lands.
Então eu lanço um desafio a todos os jovens.
And so I am launching a challenge to all the youth of the planet.
Vamos ajudar os povos indígenas a proteger as florestas e a Amazônia.
Let's all protect the indigenous and all the Amazon lands.
Stand with Amazonia. Stand with Amazonia. Stand with Amazonia. Stand with Amazonia. A luta pela Mãe Terra é a mãe de todas as lutas.
The fight for Mother Earth and the mother of all fights.
Ora lasciamo la parola a Michela Spina di Fridays for Future Italia e si prepara Jacopo.
So, thank you, Moran, for sharing this video. Thank you for witnessing this great moment. Maybe I'll let you the floor also to explain what is the initiative of Stand Up Amazonia. We will have a dedicated session on that, but let's take the chance also to talk a little bit more about this initiative. As you've seen, this was like a speech at the climate strike that is happening the 1st of October in Milan during the pre-COP. And Moran and I and other friends were there, and we witnessed this great speech from Eric. So let's explain a little bit this video, Moran.
Thank you. Yeah. So as was written by Elizabeth in the chat, Stand with Amazonia is a volunteer-based initiative done by some members of civil society who are just concerned people. We found out that the Brazilian government is considering changing the constitution and 4 bills of law, which will remove protection of the Amazon rainforest. And according to leading scientists who we are working with as well directly and getting their research, we are at 21% of deforestation of the Amazon as we speak. And if these bills are to be removed, the speed of deforestation will accelerate at a very alarming rate and most likely push the Amazon past its own tipping point and begin to collapse into what's called a process of desertification within more or less 6 months from now. So the timeline keeps changing because we've managed to get enough awareness around it to change the dates from August to September, from September to October, and now we are working on getting it to November. I'm not sure if you want us to show another video, but that what you just saw with Eric was actually in Milan not long ago as part of the Youth for Climate week that was part of the pre-COP, and many people were there to prepare for COP26. And there was a big climate strike coordinated and organized for that Friday. And actually right before that speech, Greta Thunberg was giving her speech as well. And Eric was a delegate who came from Brazil as a representative of the indigenous peoples. He specifically is also from the Amazon and spoke there for the people who are the guardians, who know how to garden and live in harmony with nature. And as our Eric here said earlier so eloquently, we need to protect their wisdom. We need to learn from them. Of course, in this, the world that we are in right now, there is a lot of exchange to be done, but mainly to preserve what they know is critical. But especially because we know about the science and the numbers and the data, there is a big effort to raise awareness about what is happening in Brazil and getting a critical mass to be aware of it by getting everything from celebrities and journalists and influencers and as many people to just share about this topic as possible so that we can do what we can to prevent the legislation from changing. So what you heard Eric in the video say was he challenges all of the youth of the planet to stand with Amazonia. And we've created a hashtag. We're trying to see if we can get it out as far as possible to get people aware of what is happening in the Brazilian legislation, that it will affect all of us, since the collapse of the Amazon will lead to system collapse that will actually have a domino effect that will affect the water we drink, the air we breathe, the food we eat, and much more down the line of climate change. So that is the significance behind that speech and the Stand with Amazonia challenge. And anyone who's interested in watching can check out www.standwithamazonia.com. There are many calls to action for people who are asking what they can do, including sharing videos, signing global letters, sending emails to the politicians, and taking pictures and selfies with yourself with the hashtag Stand with Amazonia. I can actually maybe share screen on the other device for a minute and see if we can get an example of that. Let's see. You've got me and Greta over there at the climate march. Right before that, there's a sign, Stand with Amazonia. That's how simple it can be. Just hashtag Stand with Amazonia, take a selfie of yourself and join the challenge. Yeah, and any other information you can get there. And I love that there's babies in the background. This is all for their future. So yeah, thank you.
If you want, we have time also. If you want to share other videos of the film, we have time to make it, so you can go.
Okay, I'll pull it up just a moment.
So in the meanwhile, I'll share also the website of Stand with Amazonia, or maybe Elizabeth. I saw that Elizabeth also is here. If you want to share also the website, we are very glad to promote this initiative, in which also the Climate Social Forum is involved and is partner.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Good.
Just let me know that the sound is good once it starts. And here we go.
In a matter of days, the Brazilian Congress is poised to change key laws to cancel all major protections for the Amazon region and its indigenous peoples, clearing the way for sanctioned deforestation at an unprecedented way. As the largest rainforest in the world, the Amazon has regulated Earth's environmental cycles for eons. However, at this moment in time, it is protecting all life on Earth from catastrophic climate crises. Leading scientists understand that the Amazon rainforest must remain intact, or humanity will not be able to endure the resulting environmental consequences to the Earth's atmosphere, biospheres, and oceans. The Amazon rainforest and its indigenous protectors need the world's help more than ever. The indigenous peoples of the Amazon have come out of their remote forests to sound an urgent SOS, seeking critical aid from the international community. We still have a chance to turn the tipping point in the right direction by rallying the international community to recognize the problem that we would all face if this legislation were to pass. We need your help to spread this message by sharing this video. It's our goal to raise funds to implement an emergency response plan as specified by the articulation of Indigenous peoples of Brazil to help protect Amazonia against its immediate legislation. Everyone must use their platform and the opportunity that we have. This is not just something that we can do. This is something that we must do together.
Wow. Thanks for this beautiful video. Thank you, Moran.
Thank you for the opportunity. If anyone has any questions, Elizabeth has put a website that has.
So Paula
Yes,
was,
Dr. Paula, you are definitely in time. Can you hear me?
yeah, sure.
Okay, so yes, Dr. Paula, I can put the link in, or perhaps someone else who has it in the meantime can put the link in, and we can share definitely. At the moment, the date that we're looking at is the 1st of November. Beautifully, I mean, hopefully it's inspirational to everyone to know that from the August 25th or so, it was pushed to September 20 something, and then from September 20 something to October 10th, and from October 10th to November 1st. And if we get it past November 1st, then we will probably have a few more months, if not a year, to go to raise more awareness about it. But in the meantime, share, please, as much as you can, and get other people to share as much as they can. That's my main message. Pass it on, pay it forward, ripple effect, domino effect, get as many people to be aware of this as possible. Everything you've seen is the work of many people in the process. Domenico has been witness to that for a long time. We've known about it for, I suppose, decades, years, even myself, a few years. And now we're down to days and weeks. And, it's really it's incredible to fathom. But yeah, each one of us has to use our own platforms and our voices, unite our voices, amplify the voices. And they came out of the forest and said, SOS, help us get the international community aware. So yeah. Any other questions on that? Thank you so much to you, Dr. Paula. I loved your presentation, and I'd love to get to see it again afterwards as well.
Yes, we have space for question. Also, I saw some Italian and also other language friends. Please, actually, we haven't for this session the translation, but you can make some question in your language, so we'll say in Italian. Se volete, potete fare domande anche in italiano, le traduciamo in diretta, e quindi non vi preoccupate sull'interazione, possiamo interagire in italiano. Adesso per questa sessione non c'era la traduzione. And similarly, also the other friends, si alguien habla español, podemos traducir también.
I love when you speak Italian and I don't understand, but I learn what other languages sound like. It's part of the beauty of this climate social forum, that we all come from all over the world, and bring, the things that we know best, or that we're interested in, or doing things about. It's pretty incredible.
Thank you.
So are there any questions in the chat on this topic? I would just say that at COP26, we will be highlighting the Indigenous voices, as Eric and I mentioned earlier, and also Dr. Paola, about the importance of the Indigenous wisdom.
Actually, I have one question for you.
Go ahead.
So, properly on the process, you mentioned the process of gathering, also a lot of indigenous, because as far as I know from this campaign, you also gather with the indigenous themselves. And so, will you tell us a little bit the process of engagement? How do you work with the campaign and so on?
Sure. Well, I've personally been working in this field for a long time. I'd say, 13 years of direct research. And since I was 7 years old, and actually participated in a play in second grade around global warming and climate change. At the time, it really has always been with me, and some other forks in the road, as well as the power of music, which is relevant, I guess, at a different point. It's always been interesting to me, and then I ended up finding myself working on an initiative that is called B, which is a platform that kind of gives an overview of what's going on where in the world and who is doing what to solve the problems of climate change, etc. And so along that process, I found myself working with scientists in the field and from various angles of the challenge of, and this is part of whole systems thinking. And according to the science and the mathematics, because of things like the change of legislation and the acceleration of deforestation that has already happened, and what the implications of losing the Amazon would mean to all of humanity, I realize it's the indigenous who are protecting, who are the frontline guardians, literally, of the forest. And we need the forest, and without that forest, especially the Amazon, because of its sheer mass, we need to do whatever we can to protect it, or our species will go extinct. Now, for me, my motivation has come from my desire to be a mother and bring children into the world, and wanted to see whether we could bring them into a world that's more harmonious with each other as well, and also with nature and ourselves. And so my work guided me towards a place where I could come into contact with these indigenous, and specifically in the last 2 years, I've managed to build incredible and beautiful relationships with the indigenous themselves. We've gone through a lot in the last few years, especially with the pandemic, seeing them go from 0 cases to thousands of cases of corona, and the elders dying with all their wisdom before they managed to pass it on. Knowing that I also have lost that wisdom, and many other people who are not even aware of it. It just concerned me to the point of seeing what I can do to get involved and to do something about it. And as Elizabeth wrote in the chat, we each need to use our voices and recognize the impact of our choices. And then I figured out, how do we amplify their message? How do we bring together enough voices to get a critical mass, let's say, to make everyone aware of this? So yeah, I ended up working with them, and through that, developing a relationship with the indigenous themselves has been, more than anything, I think, the process that brought me to the point where you saw me and Eric speaking in a crowd of at least, I mean, Domenico, can you say the number? Because it's like kind of a lot. I just can't even believe it. How many people were there?
Yes, almost like 50,000 people.
Woohoo! 50,000 people. And sending out that message. That's what it's all about. And I think it's you know, one domino effect. You take one step and then another step and then another step. You have one voice and another person. Dr. Paola, just the idea of you sharing it and your voice being added and then other people, you know, sharing it from there on, and onwards we go. It's a very inspirational, empowering feeling. It feels like you're actually being part of the change. It feels like a lot of significance and purpose. For me, it's the fuel that gives me the energy to continue doing more of this, more than anything, awareness. And that's why I love the Climate Social Forum as well.
Thank you for
Thank you.
for your live. And I don't know if there are other questions. Okay, if not, maybe we can pass through the next session of the people track. As I said, as well as invite you to continue to interact on the chat and by Discord. And the next session and table will be on another interesting topic, properly regarding the people track. In these people with all the amazing team of Climate Social Forum that I greet and I congratulate with them first, because thanks to them these sessions are possible. On the people track, we decide to address all the things that in a way are addressed to communities and so on. And one of that is the role of education. And also when education maybe sometimes is missing at the first glance, and it's needed to find new ways and new projects for foster education, especially climate education. So I will give back the floor to Moran to like contextualize the context of education and to introduce some super special guests that I'm honored to have with us. I saw them in the call. So Moran, the floor is to you.
Well, thank you very much again. I'm going to change hats. And although it's not actually far from what we're talking about, at the moment, we're going to talk about education, which to me is awareness. And before I introduce our guests, I'll just just say that while researching and reverse engineering that better world for our or my future children, we realized that humans learn best through experience, and that if we want people to make a change in the choices they make, in the behaviors, which the behaviors are the one that what we choose to do in our daily lives has impact on the entire universe, really. But that's very big thinking, very whole systems thinking. Then being aware of the impact of our choices and how it affects each of us and one another, and I like to say all life in the life system of which we are a part, then education would be the source of where people can learn about the impact of their choices so that they can make that shift and change the behaviors by changing the way in which we make our choices. And so along the way, I met some beautiful humans on the planet, and I've had the honor almost for a year now to be in communication with two special people, Bert Cohen and Larry Tishkoff, who are on this call. I'm not sure if there's a way to put the three of us on the same screen. Thank you for joining us. We're having an international participation here. We put together, actually, I should let you guys introduce yourself, but in the last year, we've been working on actually a very important piece of educational content called the Drawdown Project, which I'm just going to share screen here just to put it on the screen quickly so that when we are speaking and introducing ourselves, everyone can see what we're talking about. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Love it. That's why we have partners. See? Thanks. Bert, I'd like to have you and Larry introduce yourselves and give a little tidbit about what we've been doing here. In the meantime, I will bring up some visuals for us to see. Over to you guys.
Why don't you go ahead, Larry?
Okay. About a year ago, last May 2020, I lost my job due to COVID, and it turned out to be a gift because what I did was to transition from what I had been involved in over 50 years into the field of climate, global warming, climate change, and so forth. Joining my uncle Bert Cohen, we started to look at ways in which we could engage family and friends, and then reach out to others with basically addressing one major issue. We noticed that a lot of young people and not so young people had what we would call eco-anxiety. People were looking at all the information that was coming to them through social media, through the news media, about wildfires in the West, in Australia, floods. You've all experienced this terrible year. And one of the things that became apparent is that when people are confronting that, they tend to get paralyzed and frightened. So Bert introduced me, and then I became more aware, and I reached out to Marani, who was a friend of my daughter for many, many years, going back 20 years, knowing that she was involved in climate issues. And we began to explore how we might create an online experience because of COVID, workshops where we would reach out to anybody who was interested to learn more about solutions to climate change, things that everybody can do as individuals, as family units, as neighborhoods, friends, groups, you name it, schools, and basically on the Drawdown Project principles. Here I'll stop and just turn it over to Bert.
Thanks, Larry. Marani, are you going to put on any slides? If you are, that would be something we could talk to. I don't know if we are able to do that. If not, I will say that, here we go. So I've been in education, teaching everything from primary special ed, first grade, fifth grade, up to university graduate students. And for 25 years, I taught a course called Sustainable Living. And that was how do we live our personal lives in such a way that will have care for the future. And then I realized that doing our personal lives wouldn't get us there. What we really needed to do was have systems thinking for sustainable living, which I think Marani talked about a whole vision way of looking at things. And so caring for the future really is introducing us to the 100 most important solutions that we can do for the planet, prioritize from the most important to the least impactful, but all of them needed to be done. So I found out that information in the book, and if we could go back, I'll just hold up the book. Information in the book is available to everybody. It's online at drawdown.org, and you can get the information, and there's other resources. What Marani, Larry, and I have discovered together and try to incorporate in the courses that we do, Caring for the Future, the value added is how do we communicate with each other to integrate the information, because there's so much information coming at all of us, in my experience, that it can be paralyzing. So our course is about having fun and talking in breakout groups. And I don't know if you want to go to more slides or back to the regular screen. Okay. Action for the future is what is the outcome of working together, so that when we get the information over a 7-week or a 10-week dialogue course, we find that groups have action. Now, I did this course a year ago in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, population 20,000. And there were 2 or 3 action groups that came out from it. And I'll just give you one example. The greenhouse gases that are going up in the atmosphere, 50% of them are caused by energy, the other by agriculture. And by plant-based diet, we can actually make as big an impact as controlling our energy. So a committee came out, and in Portsmouth, where we have many, many restaurants, we had a Planet for the Earth Day, where there was a feature in the restaurant to do a vegan meal. Now, that was a small action, but is how do we change culture one person at a time? So what I'd like to wind up is saying that the information is the beginning step. Working together is the step that brings it to action. So maybe I'll wind up there unless Marani or Larry would like to say something. Or is there another slide?
I can put on another slide, but can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. You can go ahead, Moran.
Okay. What I was just going to add on to is that going from caring for the future to actions for the future is really about building community, which also Bert mentioned. And to me, I think that's also part of what this Climate Social Forum is about. It's the second annual event of this kind, and it is bringing people together and sharing our wisdom and knowledge. Gotta love the nature sounds in the background over here. Plants and animals and water and babies. All about caring for that future. Larry?
You're on mute, Larry.
I just want to say that the bonus for having done this together and continuing to look towards the future about how the 3 of us will collaborate and move into different areas has been the strengthening of our own feelings about climate change. I have 4 kids, and each one of them are married, and 8 grandchildren, and I think about them every day, all day, and about the kind of planet we are going to be handing off to primarily to the grandchildren. I envision, if I go 20 or 30 years down the road, that I will have conversations with 1 or more of the grandchildren. And I just didn't want to get there where they would look at me or talk to me and say, you know, Saba, which is Hebrew for grandpa, did you know about what was happening? And if you knew about it, what did you do? So I don't know that we will succeed, or all of us together on this call will succeed, but I don't think we have a choice not to do our most and utmost to make some kind of effort to avoid the kind of catastrophes that are being predicted if we don't do anything. So it's not only for my children and grandchildren, it's for me as well. And I am grateful to Bert and to Morani for being there in order to collaborate in these really valuable experiences.
Oh, thank you, Larry, for please let's show what Larry is putting on the screen. Regenerating, ending the climate crisis in one generation. Bert, sorry. So yeah, Bert, if you want to.
I love what Larry was saying about our kids and our grandkids. The information, we have the information. We all know we have the technology to get to a climate safe planet. And I love the idea that we can do it in one generation. And that's what I think community like we're doing today, spreading information quickly and powerfully to get us to a climate safe planet. So I think all of us have an investment in doing the best we can, and we work, no guarantee about results, but sure is a joyous path to work together with people we care about and love, and that makes the journey very sweet.
Thank you. Thank you.
I pulled up the slide showing that the drawdown originally is the most comprehensive plan ever proposed to reverse global warming, and that what Bert was holding up is actually regenerating, doing that in one generation, showing that it's possible. And this is from one of the slides in Caring for the Future, referring to 10 of the drawdown solutions. You can see there refrigeration, land-based and wind turbines, reduced food waste, plant-rich diets, tropical forest protection, educating girls, family planning, solar farms, silvopastures, which is something a lot of people learn in the course and from Drawdown, and rooftop solar. They're just some of the examples of the solutions that are out there that if we get a critical mass to be aware of this and to get top down and bottom up implementation and integration, as Dr. Paola said earlier, through a transition and transformation period, then we do have an optimistic future for our children and generations to come. And what it would take is a ripple effect, which this slide shows beautifully. And one of the greatest examples I think we have right now is Greta Thunberg. And back to where we started the conversation earlier, every voice counts and each one of us is an influencer. And the more people that we have aware of what's happening and what we can do about it, then the better chances we have for an optimistic future. And that's why each one of us counts.
I'd just like to point out that the Drawdown Project was initiated by an incredibly charismatic individual, an entrepreneur, whose name is Paul Hawken. And the second book that Bert held up, Regeneration, is the sequel that Paul Hawken basically created and was just launched less than a month ago on September 21st. It's available on Amazon. I believe you can download it to Kindle and other electronic devices as well. And it is the sequel. It's the follow-up to what Drawdown introduced in 2017.
Thank you very much. I'm always amazed listening to you. Also, get the chance to have a special appointment of what we call Sustainable Sunday. That is an initiative that we drive together with the Morana and Climate Social Forum. And first of all, I'm very happy to have you here in this venue. So I'll take the chance. I didn't take the chance before, Bert and Larry, to welcome you. So thank you very much for having you, and also for pointing this important thing. I guess also in facing climate crisis. Climate crisis, as always stated in Climate Social Forum, is a crisis. So put us in crisis, in a situation that we feel bad. But the importance is to find solution, and only together we can find the solution. This is also the message that we bring in a Climate Social Forum. So thank you for giving us also concrete elements for thinking about solutions with the books of the Drawdown Project and the sequel. So
I would just like to add one last thing, that there will be more coming from caring for the future. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. There was a pretty echo, maybe.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
So there will be more coming from Caring for the Future, and Actions for the Future is a group that will be open to growth. So more people who want to join, we're going to be exchanging actions that each one is taking and can take, and really inform each other of what's going on, and just be updated and activate one another, and support each other's actions so that we can amplify them and really help push out that wave of change that each of us can make.
Thank you for adding the point. Okay, if there are some questions, let's take the chance for a question to our guests. Also in the chat.